lot of quarterbacks who are mobile, who can extend plays, and who can take advantage of a tired defense on an every down basis. You got a lot of quarterbacks who can extend plays. Well, Paul, why the fuck are you talking about extending plays? Because over the course of 60 minutes, imagine you're a pass rusher and you're chasing these fuckers all game long. You're going to be gassed by the start of overtime. And that quarterback might be a little tired, but they're going to be feeling pretty good about the fact that you've been chasing after them all game long. And if you haven't gotten to them enough, then they're probably going to be able to continue to do what they have been doing to you. You already can't touch wide receivers because the Indianapolis Colts were little whiny babies after they lost in the playoffs in 2004 to the Patriots. They felt like they were getting held. That's where all of the rules started to get really ramped up in terms of being, I think, disrespectful to defensive players. And now you go a little bit further. If you sack a quarterback too hard and land on him, that's a personal foul. If you go too low, even if you're diving to make a tackle from a guy who is trying to get away from you, that's a personal foul. If you go too high, that's a personal foul. If you tap the guy in the head, that's a personal foul. Offenses can get away with false starts. We see it all the time, especially on the edge. Watch a game. You'll probably see one or two false starts that are gotten away with by a tackle on the road who is maybe jumping a little bit ahead of the actual snap count. Delay of games are allowed essentially these days. How many times have you noticed that a referee will allow the play clock to hit 0 before signaling for a delay of game? Most of the times it hits 0 and there's no delay of game at all. There are so many rules in favor of the offense. They need to have less rules in favor of the offense. I don't think this is the best solution for overtime. I think that if you want to make it so it's not gimmicky and where it's actually consistent with the rest of a 60-minute game, overtime, then you add just an extra quarter. And I know that might lead to potentially longer games, anticlimactic finishes. At the same time, what happens if each team gets a possession and both teams score? Ultimately, the team that wins the coin toss is going to have the first chance to score afterwards, right? And the other team's not going to get to match. So then it would come back to being the coin toss. I suppose that it's there's less of a probability of that happening where both teams score a touchdown right away, but it's certainly possible. What happens after that? We're going to go right back to the same argument, the same complaining, the same whining about unfair, about how this is wrong. And when that happens, I'm telling you, we're just going to come back to this again. And I guess the next measure is, okay, well, add another possession or add the 2-point conversion. Well, then it starts to get gimmicky. There's no real way to fix this. I mean, sudden death was a part of NFL overtime for a while, but offenses have taken the game over to such a degree that it's no longer a fair fight.